What's up, everybody? It is your host of the Mint Tea Podcast, Wyatt Graves, and today's conversation is with a fellow GoBro and a great friend of mine, Joe Moffett. He's a peak performance coach and he is a real estate investor. In today's conversation, you're going to actually get to hear him coach me right on the spot with some limiting beliefs that I have that I think are serving as a bottleneck that keeps me from living into the next phase of growth for my own business. He unlocked some clarity. It was pretty powerful. You get to hear that in today's conversation. And you also get to hear some of the basic principles behind peak performance coaching. It may be for you. And if it is, we share Joe's contact information for you to reach out to him and explore what it might look like for you. Without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Joe Moffett. Thanks for coming on the show today. I'm excited to get into our conversation.
Yeah, excited to be here. And yes, it's been a minute.
Yeah, for sure. So Joe, you and I know each other from GoBundance, just to kind of set the record for my listeners. We know each other from GoBundance, and I need you to kind of frame the exact title or role. In my mind, you're a performance and mindset coach and an entrepreneur. So can you, for the audience, just kind of tell them who you are and what you do?
Yes. And here's the thing that for me is I'm always thinking like lead with where you're going, not with where you've been, for me personally.
Oh, that's good.
And so
say that one more time.
Lead with where you're going, not where you've been. And so I will say I am a full-time investor, and me and my wife, and we do peak performance coaching on the back end. And so we've been doing peak performance mindset coaching for the last 12 plus years. Professionally, and we've had incredible results, help people become financially free. Many of our clients like that path, they walk that path, and so we help that, but we also invest ourselves. So you can't just teach the product, you actually got to live the product, kind of like you.
Man, I love that. And so it automatically gives me so much to talk about, right? I love that comment. And I need you to teach it to me today so that I can cement it in my brain. But tell people where you're going, not where you're at. What's the full comment?
Yeah. Lead with where you're going.
Lead.
Not with where you've been. Because a lot of times people say, oh, I'm an accountant and I'm trying to start a network marketing business on the side. And if that network marketing business is where you want to be full time, start leading there and then put the back end, what you're doing as your secondary, because it's going to eventually be secondary. It's almost like, if you're in the spiritual world, you're prophesying your future. If you want to talk abundance, law of attraction, you're speaking with what you want. And so I always start, and it feels uncomfortable in the beginning, right? You feel like a fraud, you feel like a fake, but it's like, no, you're in the process of becoming that person. You don't have to cement it. You don't have to complete that identity in order to say, this is who I'm becoming. One's a transitional phrase, I'll say, versus one's a completed fifth phrase. And I always like to think about, if I'm going in that direction, I'm always going to start leading with that. And then, what I've been doing is it's always there and it'll always be there, but that's not who I'm becoming.
So good. So good. So my listeners know that I'm on a mission to build a portfolio of rentals that consists of 25,000 doors in 10 years from now. And that I'm building a holding company of service-based businesses. And then this is where you and I get to really jam out today, because the 25,000 doors and the holding company of service-based businesses is part of my 10-year vision. It's surrounded by a protective moat. It's what I'm saying, it's what I'm calling it, of personal growth and development, education, community. And we are being more than just four walls and a roof over our people's heads. We are talking things through with them, asking them what success looks like for them in a year from now or 3 years from now, and helping them to start to dream about their future, even when they just submit a simple rental application to come live in one of our properties. And so you talk about peak performance coaching, real estate investing. I'm on a mission to bring both of those together, especially at the heart and soul with our residents. So we got a lot to talk about.
Let's do it. I'm excited. I love that vision, by the way.
Peak performance coaching. Let's just open that up. What does that mean? Like, I know that coaching, of course, when I started my mentorship program and I took over this podcast, it just seems like my Facebook feed and my YouTube feed and just my emails, everybody seems to be a coach. But I understand that that's the world that I live in. And so Facebook and everybody is feeding that to me. But in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot of people that could probably benefit from it, and they don't know exactly what it is. So can we talk about that just for a little bit?
Yeah, great question. And I think there's a million ways we could go with this. But to simplify it, I will say there's an old saying, think, be, do, have. And so if you're not in a place in where you want to be in your life, you don't have the results you're looking for, it's not a result of the world's out to get you, or you didn't have the cards you were dealt weren't fair. Because there's a lot of people who were dealt 4 out of 5 victim cards and they still are winning and they're in the winning hand. And so what shifts all that? And the biggest component is the first step in that little saying, which is think. A lot of times the way we think determines which path we take. If we're at a fork in the road every day, you're either going to think negative or positive. And depending on the thought process that you select that day determines which path you walk down. And so, we always hear this saying like, he's lucky, and it's like, or she's lucky. It's just always things happen great to them. And it's like, yes, there's probably good things that do happen to them, but why? It's because they're seeing the good in everything, not the bad. A lot of times I found that even for me growing up, I never was taught any personal development or anything like that. And I always used to see the worst outcome. Why? Because I wanted to prevent or preserve what I may have had in that moment, versus shifting to the infinite possibilities that are available to me in that situation. And so peak performance coaching starts to really help you kind of lay all your cards on the table and say, okay, which ones serve me and which ones don't? And which cards do I need to adopt into my life in order for me to get to where I want to go? And no one on this earth is better than anyone else. Some might be more talented, which I will say this: skills, knowledge, those things they're taught. Talent, you can't teach. So yes, someone might be more talented than you because that's innate. That's, birthed into you. God's giving you that ability. But someone that has great talent but don't have a work ethic can get beat out by someone that doesn't have much talent but has an incredible work ethic. And so I start to look at, when you have all the cards on the table, let's exclude those thought process, the cards that don't serve you anymore. And which ones do we need to bring into your hand so that you can create a winning hand moving forward? Your past doesn't define you. What really defines you is the present moment and the way you think about where you're going moving forward. So that's how I would kind of address that, just to start.
So good, man. I love it. And so I think one of the things I wrote as a result of what you were saying is awareness. So peak performance coaching may help people understand or become aware of some programming that is influencing the way they think, which then influences the way they be and therefore what they do, and yields the results that they're getting. And so you help bring awareness to our patterns and our thought processes that we can then interrogate and decide, does this way of thinking serve where I want to end up? And if it doesn't, then you can walk me through making that change.
Correct. And I love that word. And would you say interrogate?
Yeah, interrogate reality, right? Like let's really face the truth.
How many people don't face the truth though? Right? Or they don't even know that truth's out there.
Yeah. And I think what I like about, obviously we've been in the same circles with peak performance coaching, mindset coaching, performance coaching. somebody's got to advocate for us and ask us those questions. And that's really one of the greatest gifts that a coach has provided me, is asking me the questions so that I can become aware of some blind spots, some programming, some thought processes that aren't serving me anymore. That's so good, man. So taking that and applying that, right? I just want to kind of lead with where I'm going a little bit. How many residents, how many people come through the rental world without having awareness on the decisions that they keep making and the things they keep doing, which keep them from becoming a homeowner, that keep them from becoming financially free, that keep them from establishing a savings account even, right? And so engaging with you, right, and exploring these possibilities of working together so that we can bring these questions, this concept to the rental world, is something that matters to me a lot, so that we can really have deep impact on our residents, right? And they may not even want to buy a house, but they probably want discretionary income. They probably want a savings account. They probably want a little more cash to live a little better life. And we can achieve that, at least I think, right? If we start asking them those questions and then revealing some of the blind spots to them and helping them kind of reprogram the way they've been raised, or the way they've been influenced, so they can make different decisions. So let's talk about that for a little bit. I know that whenever we set this call up, I wanted to discuss that, right? So I know that you are a real estate investor, and I also know that you do peak performance coaching. So can we just brainstorm for a little bit about what that might look like to create a rental world, a world of real estate rentals that provided this extra service as a group call, a group coaching opportunity for all of our residents to come together and get plugged in with this kind of content? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people who are in the rental world, I think of me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was a renter and I was just trying to survive. And I think the biggest thing that I could have used back then was really like a financial literacy program, right? To teach foundational financial components that would lay a groundwork for my financial future. The only thing I knew was I had to somehow make more money, and I shouldn't spend a ton of it, right? And to me, it sounds that simple, but there's more detail involved in that, right? And then there was never any targets. I never was taught targets on where I should start aiming at and what I can do. And so for me, as I think about it, the number one thing I would help people start to look at is, because you're going to work for money in the beginning, no matter what you do. So I think helping people understand, first and foremost, that being fulfilled in what you do is something that's really important. Now, you might not know exactly what that is in the moment, but how do you discover that and help people identify, like, what is their purpose? Like, what do they like to do to add value to the marketplace so that they can actually charge more as they get better at it? And they can actually they actually have more money. And then what do you do with that money, right? Because a lot of times, I think about me, I was in $30,000 to $40,000 credit card debt for the third time when I got out of the Marine Corps. So I like to think I'm an overachiever. I don't do things once or twice. I got to do it 3 times. But it's like, okay, well, why are you spending all that money? What is the thought process? What are the limiting beliefs, the stories that you tell yourself that cause you to get in debt or cause you to live paycheck by paycheck? And so if we can help people understand, like, what are those common mindsets, like, I'll just put it on the card. That's a common story I see a lot. I'll put it on my credit card. I'll pay it off later. We're always kicking the can down the road later, right? Like, that thought process, you do that enough times on enough purchases, and it's kind of like drugs, right? Like, if you just, I'm just going to try a cigarette, and then it's weed, and then it's next thing you know, you're doing heroin. And it's like, what? It's like, so it can become a slippery slope. And then next thing you know, you got like purchases of $10,000 that you're putting on a credit card here and there, and you're in 30, 40 grand debt like I was. So I think a lot of the foundation is really getting our mindset around the finances and the way they think about money and what money truly is. And I personally believe money is an exchange of value. So the amount of value you bring to the table is the amount that you're going to be compensated. And so I never understood that. I thought it was just go perform and I just get a paycheck. And so difference between active income, passive income. Here's a big one that I've been really hitting on all my social media reels. Just the way we think about money is a lot of times we think we got to go make more money. But in fact, if we thought about it in a different way, like how can I make money faster? And let me give you an example. That is, if you're making 70 grand a year, how can you make 70 grand in a month? If you can learn to make money faster, most of your problems shift. But then again, if you think about money wrong, you'll go back in debt and you'll start wasting your all the money you are making. And I call that inflation.
So true. I'm working on a course right now that we're going to launch this summer. It's called How to Find a Job You Love, Make the Money You Need, and Live the Life You Want. And I think I can reduce that curriculum down to 8 weeks for a 1 day per week class. And when I really dig deep on those headings, right, or on that heading and those 3 categories, right, how do you find a job? How to find a job you love? Well, asking the people the question in the class is going to be simple, right? How would you know if you love your job? And that sends us on this self-discovery journey of the things that we're good at, the things that we enjoy and where they intersect, the things that we're good at and enjoy, and then placing a value on that. How do we make that a value add for our employer, right? And understanding that skill. And you just said, right, money is an exchange of value. So helping them to put a value on that skill, on that gift that they enjoy doing, and then teaching them how to go out and pitch it to the right employer, the right organization, so that they can find alignment, right? And then going back even to what you said, think, be, do, have. And one of the things that I think we'll work on is helping them to understand their top 3 values. And how many people aren't yet clear on the things they value. Which, if you're not clear on that, then how do you go find a job that you love if you're not clear on the values that you bring to the table, that you hold true to your heart, to find a job that also embodies those same values, right? So, man, if we can figure out how to put together a group coaching opportunity for our residents, then we're going to be in business. I want to continue to shake that out a little bit.
Yeah.
With that being said, let's talk about where you're at right now with your real estate investments and peak performance coaching. I know a little bit about your resume and the peak performance coaching, so I want to go there just a little bit. Tell me how you got into peak performance coaching to begin with.
It started by me getting involved in Amway. I thought that was my path to become rich and famous, and at 23. And so I quickly learned that and I was all about me. I was very full of pride and what I wanted. But I quickly learned in that industry that the more people I helped get their goals, that would actually in turn help me get my goals. So I had to learn to take my eyes off myself and put them on other people. As a result, I actually found that I loved helping people. But as time went on, I realized I love helping the right people. And what I mean by the right people is the people that actually want to grow, not the ones that don't want to grow. And I learned that one's like pulling teeth, and the other one I'm trying to catch up to in a race because they're so excited about who they're becoming or where they're going. And that's always fun to work with them. So after about 5 years in network marketing, I decided I wanted to go more professional. I was in business with Tony Robbins' son, Jarek Robbins, at the time. Met a friend of his, and he told me he was a Tony Robbins coach. I said, hey, that's what I want to do. I want to go more professional. So did what I had to do, went through got invited to the training, finished top of my class, and that's where my professional journey began. I went, finished my master's degree in performance psychology, went and got a lot of certifications, NLP and coaching certifications, all that fun stuff. But fast forward to 12 years later, since 2013, I've done 35,000 coaching calls with people around the world, from any and every level and background you can think of, through any and every challenge you can think of. So nothing surprises me anymore in what I hear, but recently it's been a lot working with people around finances, financial freedom, real estate. So it's just people that are hungry to get ahead.
What was it like working in the Tony Robbins world? Did you get to hang out with Tony a lot? Did you get to see him a lot
Never,
or no?
never,
Never.
never. One time we got a call with Tony in my 7 years there, because he's a busy guy, right? He's got a lot of demand. And I think when you actually have, and this kind of goes into business, when you have great people and great in leadership positions, you don't have to worry. You don't have to really come down the ladder much. You do it, periodically to just build the rapport and the camaraderie and the culture. But when you have a great leader that can keep that culture and love on their team as if it was their company, that's when you got a winning organization and good leadership.
I love that, and especially on the heels of what we spoke about at the beginning of this call, which is the space that I'm in with hiring another senior level position, right? Hey guys, if you've been a listener of my show for any length of time, you know that I attribute a lot of my growth to learning from the guys inside of GoBundance. If you think that GoBundance is a tribe that you might be interested in joining, then reach out to me. Go to WyattGraves.com, connect with me. I'll reach out personally with you and answer any questions about GoBundance to see if it's the right fit for you. What are the questions that I should be asking myself in order to unlock the next level of leadership to grow into an organization that's like Tony's, where we have employees and we have leaders that don't require so much of my direct influence? And let me frame that with the perspective. So what are the questions from a quantum physics perspective, from a mindset perspective, that I should be asking myself to unlock that next version of me to just make it happen? I've been in business for 25 years, Joe, and I'm still not there.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced, even recently, I'm coaching with Jeff Woods right now, and really engaged with him around AI and the more granular productivity, left-brained prioritization of tasks. And what's interesting from a mindset perspective is that I've been seeing high-level executives like the founder of Zillow. We could talk about Steve Jobs. We could talk about Elon Musk. We could talk about these great business leaders that have created such extraordinary organizations. And what I'm convinced of, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. They have 24 hours in the day just like I do. So what are they? So the questions I'm asking myself right now as I try to scale this business to 25,000 doors and a holding company of service-based businesses, what did they trade their time for on a daily basis? What did their schedule look like versus what my schedule looks like? And what are the mindset shifts that keep me from making my schedule mirror theirs? Or is that even necessary, right? Maybe I'm on the right path, but I am convinced that there's more, that I'm not changing fast enough or big enough to really accomplish those results. And there's something that's inside of my programming that is holding me hostage to the operational functions of my job that's keeping me from making that shift. So wherever you can dive and diagnose or speak to that, I am all friggin' ears.
I love that you're coachable, you're open. I think that speaks volumes of who you are and why you are where you are and where you're going. So I just want to honor you for that. I will say there's a lot of different directions we can go. And when you talk about like where you want to go versus where you are, is I would say, what are your weaknesses that you need to outsource or leverage that are their strengths? Like, and I know it sounds very simplistic, but why are you holding on to the lower level tasks that you know you shouldn't be doing? So that I can back up and say, what are the tasks that you're doing that eat up a lot of your time that you know someone else could do, if not better than you? Right. And sometimes we don't like to hear that as a leader. You might be because you're very coachable and open, but sometimes we don't like to hear that because it's me, right? It's me. No one can do it as good as me. No one can manage what I can manage or carry the weight that I carry, but that's a limiting belief because there's always someone better, bigger, stronger, faster, whatever. There's someone better out there than us. And so I think it comes back to a little bit of that who, not how, like who's better at this than me? Who can do this or what can do this? And you talked about AI. It's like, well, what system needs to do this? What systems can we leverage to do that? That's the biggest thing. And you can easily do like a SWOT analysis. Like, what's the strengths of my company? What are the weaknesses of my company, right? We can do things like that. That really kind of puts the spotlight on, but then it comes back to what I said is like, when it comes to your weaknesses, how do we mitigate them? Who's better at it than me? And then there's this one question that I've been kind of using as a torpedo lately for people to kind of put the awareness, as you said earlier. And that is, if I wanted to destroy your business or your future business, what would I need to do in order to do that? And it makes you really take an inside look, like, I don't have all my systems dialed in. Or, you know what, if this person left, I wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't have a backup plan. Like, we're handcuffed to this person, right? So it's like, great, what systems, processes, cross-training need to be there? But where are you holding on that you know deep down you shouldn't be even doing?
I know the answer.
What's that?
I know the answer. I have a fear of people being disappointed
In
the service or the experience or the problem being solved that my company is supposed to solve or provide.
And let me ask you this, just in general, what percentage of the people that you're supposed to be helping do you think you're supposed to help 100? Do you believe you should help everyone? Like, no one should disagree with your coaching, your programs, the way you set things up to help them?
I don't even have that number, right? I don't have that quantified. For the people that do come through our programs, whether it's our Ascend Mastermind group, our local chapter meetings of even GoBundance, or my childcare facility, our real estate services, any of these things, right? I think if you are a customer or a colleague and you engage with me or my businesses, that you should be 100% satisfied. And I think that as I just sort of look inwardly, I think that I have a belief that I am, well, exactly what you said, the best suited to meet their needs. And so, yeah. And so maybe there's a limited belief on the ability to hire enough people to scale without the revenue already coming in.
Without revenue coming in?
Well, how much runway do you have to have? Just a practical business decision, right? How much runway do you have to have before you hire a group of people to then outsource? And what's the training and onboarding? It becomes very tactical.
Yeah.
Right? Like right where I'm getting ready to go in this answer, it becomes very tactical. Well, then I got to create the training program. We've got to hire the people, train the people, and then I can release the task. And there's a whole new way of doing that, and I just don't know what it is, and I've got to go figure that out. That's kind of where I just brought myself to.
Well, I asked that question because, and you've uncovered some really good stuff. It's like you're fearful that, or you have a fear. That's not who you are. You're not fearful. You have a fear. Difference between identity and belief and behavior is that you are the one that can only get those great results. You're the one that's going to get those results for sure. But then the probability, I asked, like, what's the probability of everyone coming through that's going to be satisfied, right? And you want it to be 100%, but in reality, it's never 100%. And if it is 100%, you probably just have a bunch of yes people or you're God. So someone's always going to be disappointed in something. But moving forward, it's like, what do we focus on? Are we focused on how you are going to fail or how many people you're going to help because of this? Look, I can't tell you how many times people came in, they went to a Tony Robbins event, or they heard about Tony Robbins coaching and they signed up for coaching and they're like, this doesn't work for me. And they cancel. And it's like, well, there's a variety of factors on why that could happen, but it's not always a fit for everyone, right? And so I'm not using that as an escape or an excuse for you, but to just say, what do you focus on? Are you focused on who you can help or the people that aren't buying into what you're giving, what you're trying to help them with? And at some point, I would invite the shift of, hey, I'm going to find my people. I'm going to find my tribe. I'm going to help them, those that want to be helped and that subscribe to your philosophy. Because I always say there's a million different philosophies out there, but which one do you subscribe to, right? And the greatest example on the tension of spectrum here is Dave Ramsey and Grant Cardone. One believes in debt,
Yeah,
heavily, one doesn't. And so they're both successful. They both have an incredible life. It's just which philosophy do you subscribe to? And we want to find the people that want to subscribe to your philosophy. And if they don't resonate with yours, you got to be able to release them in order to go find a philosophy that works best for them, because then it becomes a pride and an ego thing. And I'm not saying that about you, but it becomes a pride and ego thing that says, I should be able to help everyone in the world. And that's not always true. And I'll wrap with this. I remember my wife and I used to go to Hawaii. Well, we go every year, but we used to go to this training in Hawaii. And I heard this saying, an old ancient Hawaiian saying, and it says, and I loved it. And it was, I think it was something like, think not all teaching is in your school. And it just meant was, don't buy your own hype to think you got all the answers. There's other people that got other answers or deliver it in a different manner than you do that will benefit them better than you. And so if people don't resonate with you, who cares? You're actually releasing them to go find what's for them. So it's like, the question becomes, is it about you or is it about what's best for them?
dude, this is so good. This is so good. I appreciate you taking the time to kind of do some personal coaching with me on this call. This is a great example of the mentee and mentorship kind of relationship. And dude, this is great. I know that people will find value in that, especially listeners that think I have it all figured out, because I don't, right? Obviously.
But you got a lot
the notes that I just made. Say it again.
But you do got a lot figured out. So,
well, that's true. That's true. So it just came to me. This is so great. You're unlocking some wisdom here. So with this position that I'm hiring, and I've got a couple that we're hiring for, as you just spoke, what came to me was hire a person who cares about and wants to empower me to be more of who I am. Right? And so I know who I am. I'm a deal maker. I'm a mentor, and I'm a super connector. I don't have to know all the answers on the accounting side. I need to have a general idea of it, right? I need to have a general idea so that when I have a deal right in front of me, I know that it's something worth pursuing or not. And then I need to have my team be able to tell me if it's a good deal or not. And I need them to be able to tell me that in a faster way so that I can go find more deals. Same thing with teaching and coaching and mentoring, right? And I actually have a document which is blowing my mind that it takes a conversation like this to unlock this memory. But I have a document that I've created that's how to win with me. That's the thing I need to take out of my binder and put before the applicants and say, how do you feel about this, right? This is how you win with me.
Yeah.
I got all I needed, man. How can I help you?
Remember, from a spiritual perspective, what you're looking for really is a team of armor bearers, right? Like Jonathan was Saul's armor bearer, right? And he had other armor bearers too, right? But like, who's your armor bearer to take where the vision you have, or armor bearers, the vision you have, and say, I want to help? Because what happens is a lot of times, from a visual perspective, we want to scale and we want to do all the things, but what we're doing is we're doing this. We're trying to, we think we're holding up, we're trying to push forward, but we're actually holding our vision down. Instead, we want to do is find people that will go like this to help hold your vision up so you can stand and go higher for them and you. And so a lot of times we hold ourselves back because, again, we try to do it all ourselves. So I love that idea. I think that's awesome and brilliant, actually.
So good. Let's talk about your real estate investing. Where are you at these days with your real estate portfolio, and what kind of properties are you investing in?
Ooh, so we did some passive opportunities. We invested in a self-storage deal. We've invested in a company that was a startup flipping company that, with the goal of it to go public eventually. It's more of a buy and hold, right? Rehab it and then hold and rent. And so they want to take it public. So I thought that was interesting. That's a long-term play. And then we have a short-term rental about 2.5 hours away from us in the mountains. So it's a seasonal one, but we've been doing that for the last couple of years. And then what other things do we have going on? We've, I'll save the best one for last. I'm pretty sure that's where we're at right now. We also did co-living, which we have a friend, Sam Wiegert, who I coach in his community for his people, doing the mindset stuff there. But I learned from Sam about co-living, and it was the first real estate strategy that actually lit my wife up to say, like, I want to participate. And so she was fired up after I interviewed him on my podcast, and she was like, let's do it. And so we did. Last year, we bought a property. We rehabbed a 5.2 and turned it into an 8.3. And we rent out each of the rooms. And when we are fully at full capacity, we are at $3,500 a month cash flow on just that one deal, which is pretty exciting. I always tell people it's, when you think about becoming financially free, it's not like, how long is this going to take me? It's how many assets do I need in order to get there? And it just shifts. You go from time to quantity, and it just takes the pressure off. But your strategy's got to be appropriate, because if you're buying a house and you're cash flowing $100, it's going to take a long time and many assets, and that'll feel heavy. So anyway, and then as we speak, my wife is, she's really the front end of making calls. We're doing two strategies. First, we're looking for off-market deals. Clearly, we can flip or wholesale, but she's looking to spearhead some wholesale deals right now across the country. And she's also really excited about this new opportunity where she's calling almost expired listings with the agents to kind of touch base and get some creative financing options there, and or wholesale those deals to other investors. So we're kind of just seeing where that takes us at the moment, but we are focused on co-living as our primary focus, because the returns are great, and you're providing affordable housing for people at literally 50%, in some cases 50% of what they would pay on their own. So it's just a win for everyone.
Dude, I'm really excited about co-living. We've been working these two other houses to add to our co-living house. And it's been hard to work those numbers because those houses require a lot of work, and they're just not priced right yet. One's a bank repo or bank-owned home, and the other is used to actually kind of be a foster home, a group home. And but it's just so big and such a big project, and it's just not priced right to make it work. I don't think, but I'm interested, I'm anxious, I'm hungry to do some more. And I really love it because it is both financially rewarding, but also we get to have the engagement with those residents and really help coach, mentor, and teach those folks, right? Because they do come to us out of a need for affordable housing. That's not government subsidized, at least not for us, right? So taking that kind of demographic and really getting in their finances with them and teaching budgeting and mindset and all those kind of things is really awesome. And when you can curate that kind of environment around the house, it's really inspiring and it's uplifting. So I love doing it. So I didn't know you were in that space. So congrats. And we'll have to talk more on that.
Yeah. And I'll throw this out there. The one thing around the co-living too is like the people that move in, they come from various backgrounds. But we always assign a property or house manager. So we're actually teaching people how to lead also, which hopefully in turn they actually execute in their workspace so that they can get promoted, to make more money, to get ahead, right? And so I also look at it as an indirect benefit is teaching them leadership qualities. And like if the house situation comes up, we're like, hey, here's how I would handle it. Here's how I would communicate, because I want to teach and educate them how to handle conflict. And we all know in the workspace, conflict happens. So
that's right. That's right. Joe, how do people find out more about you? Where can they get in contact with you at?
You can check out our website, www.masterlifebydesign.com. Same with our podcast, Master Life by Design. And then on Instagram at the Joe Moffett. You can find me on that and all social media platforms.
I love it. And what are you looking for? How can people help you hit your goals? What do you want people to reach out to you for? When they see what, do they need to think about Joe and what he's building and then reach out and connect with you?
It's a really good question. I don't think anyone would ever turn down money. No, but
so if they've got money, you take on investors.
Well, yeah, we're going to look at a property tomorrow morning, which if it meets our co-living standards or what we think we can do with it, we will be raising capital. So capital for deals. But ideally, our podcast is really to have, and actually I'm releasing your episode today that we did. So that's
nice.
But the podcast is really to teach people the strategies and the thought processes on how to become financially free. But we're eventually going to start a community, a mastermind, where it's called, and our podcast is called this, but it's Families for Financial Freedom. We want to help people become financially free. Yeah, it might take a little bit, 12 months, maybe 24, maybe even longer. I don't know. Depends on the individual. But we want to help families create financial freedom and just do do life with cool people around the world. We want to travel. We want to have events around the world. So anyone's ever interested in walking that journey, we haven't launched it yet. We're still building the audience, but I think that at some point this year, we're going to open those doors and really just the heart behind it is just to have the life that me and my wife have created where our kids don't know mommy and daddy to ever go to a job. And I'm not saying jobs are bad, but it's just we want to be able to do cool things around the world with them and with other people. So that's kind of where we're at.
Nice. I love it, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show, man. And it was a pleasure to be on your show as well. Pretty cool to hear that you're going to release that episode today. Yeah. And we'll be releasing yours here soon in the near future.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, Wyatt Graves here. As you know from previous episodes of this show, I'm on a mission to grow a business that has 25,000 doors, a holding company of service-based businesses surrounded by a protective moat of a personal growth and development educational company. With that being said, I am looking for deals, I'm looking for talent, and I'm looking for capital. If you're interested in connecting with me, go to my website, wyattgraves.com. Send us a deal. I will be sure to include you in some way, shape, or form. Whether you're a real estate agent and you want to be my agent, you're welcome to be my agent if you bring the deal to me. If you're not my agent and you bring the deal to me, we will still get you paid somehow, some way. If you want to work inside of our world, then drop me a line, send me an email, connect with me. We're interested in attracting level 5 talent. And then finally, if you are an investor and want to invest your money, not only to get double-digit returns, but also to have real impact inside of the communities as we raise up the level of good life living throughout our properties with our residents, with our employees, with our communities, then I want to connect with you. Go to wyattgraves.com and fill out the contact information, and I will personally be in touch with you so that we can figure out how we can shake the trees together and win together. wyattgraves.com.